Hi guys, it's Lindsay Rodriguez and welcome to Marriage Mondays. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist and I decided to do little videos of tips and tricks to help improve your relationships and communication, specifically with your spouse or partner. But I think these tips and tricks can be implemented across the board with your coworkers, with your friends, with your parents, with your boss, right? All of the above, with your employees, if you are a boss. I think it's always good to have a little bit more communication skills in our toolbox. Can't serve us wrong. So today we are going to be discussing the idea of what we're actually fighting. And a common thread I see in couples is that we start a discussion around a problem and then pretty soon our partner or our spouse becomes the enemy, not the actual problem. So let me give an example of what this looks like. I see a lot of couples kind of get in disagreements of how to raise their kids or what, if their kids should be involved in a certain thing or not. That's kind of a common thread I see. So we're going to use that today. So let's say that the husband, the child isn't about to start kindergarten and the husband wants them to go to the public kindergarten and start school and all that. And the wife says, I don't know, I kind of want to homeschool the first few years or put them in more of a private school, and there's a disagreement there. So let me kind of role play here a little bit and show you what I'm talking about when the other person becomes the enemy. So say, for example, the husband says, well, we decided that they would go into kindergarten this year. Like, that's what we decided. We moved to this house for a good school district. We talked about you possibly going back to work when they started school. We talked about how good this neighborhood would be in terms of friends and community, and that I really wanted them to go to this school. And now I feel like you are backing out on that. And the wife says, well, I feel like all you want me to do is go back to work and just make more money. And so you're willing to put our child into school before they're ready just for that. And so she attacks him, right? Because she gets defensive. And he says, really? You're accusing me of money over our kid? Do you think I even care about our kid? And then she says, well, sometimes I don't think you do. And then he says, well, I don't think you do either. Like the other night, I did everything around here for him and you were out with a girls' night with your friends, right? And now we're fighting about who cares or loves who cares or loves the child more, instead of actually talking about where we want the child to go to school or not, right? Or what we want to do next year. So we can get sidetracked really quickly and start attacking each other versus solving the problem. And I see this so common, across the board when it comes to arguing. Couples often turn on each other and then they're out almost to win the argument versus solve the problem. So if you find yourself in this relationship pattern, here is what you and your spouse could do. Remember what the problem is and try to put that outside of yourself and unite with your spouse to solve the problem. So for example, this is how this would look differently. So husband, same scenario, would say, I really want our child to start school here, and that's really important to me, and, for all of the reasons I mentioned before. And the wife kind of has the same scenario. I would rather them stay home another year or put him in some sort of private school. I just don't feel like he's socially ready to be in kindergarten, right? And so here is what uniting looks like. Okay, tell me more about why you really want him to stay home. well, I've seen him interact with some peers and he just doesn't seem socially on the level to do that. And I'm really worried that if we put him into school, in a public school, too soon, that he might get, eaten up and spit out, to say the least. And so it really scares me as a mom. And maybe I'm overreacting, maybe I'm not seeing it clearly, but it really scares me. And that's the last thing that I want him to do, is to start off his school years in not the best place. And the husband gets a chance to say, okay, I see that you're really concerned for him. And she can ask him, why are you really adamant that he go to this school and start immediately? And the husband can say, well, I loved elementary school. It's where I met my closest friends. It set me up for a successful middle school, staying in the same school district. I loved my teachers. It's where I started getting into sports in recess, playing football and soccer. And I just met really good friends, and I want that for my child. I want them to have that environment. It's really important to me that they go to a school like that. And when we were looking at houses, I thought we were both on the same page with looking for schools that would provide that type of environment. Well, wife? Well, yes, we were looking at schools that can provide that type of environment, and we did find one. Ding, ding, ding. We got to one point of agreement, right? We like the school. That's not the issue. Okay, so I hear that you don't mind the school. So what do you think the problem is? I just think that he's not ready. He's young for his age, and and I'm kind of worried that I've been watching other kids that are in his grade level, and I don't think that he's quite there. But maybe we could hold him back a year, or put him in a little more Mother's Day out or preschool type thing to get him ready. Okay, I hear that you think he's not ready, and that next year he might be more ready. Now we get to come to a conclusion, right? Do we hold him back a year and then put him in that school? Do we say, let's test it out for a few months, and if we need to pull him out mid-semester and restart him, we will, or transfer him to private school and then throw him back in, we will. But now we get to hear both people's concerns and come to a solution. We get the option to compromise. So I'm going to leave a list of questions in the description that you can ask your partner if you guys are in this type of agreement. You can ask these questions to understand a little bit more of their perspective or where they're coming from. This is really, really important to ask when you ask these questions, to remember that your spouse is not the enemy. They are not the problem. The problem is this decision that you have, or this discussion that you have, and solving it. The other person is not the enemy and not the problem. If you ask these questions or use them to get more insight in order to argue your point or attack the other person's perspective, you may win this current argument or this current decision, but I guarantee you will lose in the long run. You will lose respect. You will lose trust. You'll lose your voice in the relationship. These questions are meant to help you understand the other person's perspective and their opinion and where they're coming from, and help you get to a solution. I really, really want you to hear that. These questions are meant as a tool, not as a weapon. So really try to be in a good place when you use these. But let me leave these questions on how to get to compromise a little bit easier in the description. And I hope you remember that your partner is not the problem. The problem is the problem. And really try to put that away from you guys and focus on solving that. Don't get in the weeds with attacking the other person. I hope you guys enjoy this video and this little tidbit. Try to practice it this week and hit the subscribe button below so that you never miss a Marriage Monday. Thanks, guys.